Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Plus U2. That is the show with... Oh, I knew this was going to happen. There we go.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, it's doing the thing. Well, this might actually just be a podcast only. One must obey the OBS. And it's not wanting us to have video for Red and Man of Rohan here. Speaking
That's
of,
okay.
those are my co-hosts. I know how to show them just for a second. So these are my co-hosts. We've got RedbeardFlynn, infamous professional content creator. And then we've got Mr. Man of Rohan, the voice of beauty and lore, and just put out a new thing, which I'm sure we'll promote later. But hey, guys.
Good evening.
Hey, everybody.
Train them if you don't like them.
So
I know, Des, that you just wanted to be the star of the show, so you're going to gray us out. I got it. No, it's okay.
The worst part is I have a choice. I can either show you guys or look at chat. And I'm sorry, but
Yep.
I think it's just a matter of I'm gonna have to gray screen you guys every once in a while.
I mean, I even did my hair today. So.
Yeah, see, look
What
at
a
this.
waste.
Look at this guy.
No hat. What a waste.
Oh man. Well, anyway, we're already getting super goofy here. It was quite a stream. Little like quick thoughts here. There are a few things that were covered already. I feel that were covered, recently on the Disparate Worlds podcast. But interspersed throughout, we got a lot of clarification, and I think that was a really solid part of this. That was just kind of maybe clarifying a few things that had been discussed extensively, perhaps in the wrong way. So I can't wait to dig into some of those, and now that we have a little bit more info. But what do you guys think, just off the cuff?
Do you want to go first, Man of Rohan?
Yeah, I think I was mostly thinking that seems a little off topic often during the stream. But I mean, there were a lot of things. And I understand. I feel like open world is a hard thing to discuss, and it's hard to really understand what it means to exist in an open world. I mean, there are examples, but when it really comes to an MMO and a lore heavy exploration, and you're still trying to tell a story in some areas, and you're still trying to keep it open. It's very difficult to discuss that. So and to have your brain wrap around that. So I think some of the questions that came in were not quite on topic, and they they answered him in a good way. But I think that I've got a lot of thoughts rolling around, so maybe I'll just stop there and we can.
Well, I mean,
go
asking about the open world is a very open question, right?
Right.
That's kind of all we had was about the open world. So no wonder we got a little bit of kind of all over the place stuff. But yeah, what about you, Red?
See, I actually kind of had because I felt like it was pretty on topic, because I feel like even instances and things like that is on topic for open world, because it plays into what it is. And I mean, honestly, I love this stream. It's one of those streams that I think shows me, because I've been vocal at times about every MMO, about different concerns and things I have. And one of the things that I brought up actually on a Disparate Worlds podcast was that games don't necessarily take into account the population drop after launch.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so to hear Joppa talking so expertly about that now in this stage of the game was a very important thing, I think, that may get lost in some of this. But talking about layering and sharding, or whatever you want to call it, probably not sharding, but
yeah, let's not use that word anymore, Joppa.
Layering. We'll say layering.
Phasing, I think, is a nice, easy,
pick zones if you want to go to the EverQuest lingo for it. I think that's one of the things.
Oh no, that's scary.
But I think that's one of the things that you see. It's actually being done in a lot of big games now. World of Warcraft, Diablo 4, EverQuest. They're all doing that to some extent. but talking about it in a way that is specifically talking about an issue that Pantheon is gonna have when they launch, and as a way to avoid a bigger issue of creating servers and things like that. Now I know like that branched off of the open world conversation, but it's still tied to it with the instancing idea and how to keep the world open while also dealing with the very real issue of what's going to happen when the game launches, or when a new server launches, or when an expansion launches, because that will happen. And so that was a really heartening thing for me to hear.
Yeah, just recognizing that this is a problem that we're going to face, and like that, and also recognizing that, you know, even they don't necessarily like that they have to do it at all, but it's kind of the best of, you know, got to pick the lesser evil in this sense, I guess. Like you could tell they sympathize with the problem, right?
Yeah, I mean it's the only solution I can think of that works, because creating new servers doesn't work. It causes new problems, and it causes much worse problems. So I think something like this, and thinking about it long before it's an issue, is a really good way to do it.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I'd agree. We do have some folks starting to trickle into the green room. If you're just listening and not in chat, make sure to, here, I'll post the little thingamabob here. Just make sure you are jumping on our Discord into the green room, and we'll start to pull you onto the show.
Yeah,
and we'll just do this. There we go. Should be in the pinned messages there. All right.
Very nice.
Yeah, and to kind of round that out from my perspective, I thought that some of the questions were right on. I think that the instancing question is right on, but some of the questions were a little bit off, and I think Joppa and Minus did their best to answer it in an open world way, like turn it to that. So I think I think they did a pretty good job of that. But you know, there were, never mind. We'll just keep going. But yeah, I thought they did a good job.
Yeah, I'd agree. There was a mix, but there were some on point ones for sure. But I know Mr. C has been chilling literally like since we started, so I think it's only fair that we get him first. So Mr. C, get your mic and everything ready, and I'll pull you in like a second or now. Hey, Mr. C.
Hey, how's it going?
Evening.
Going well. So I know you're in here like right away, so I'm going to guess that you had something like specific. So I won't like drill you with questions. How about you go ahead and take the lead here?
I don't think this game should have instancing.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is a great...
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I mean, you could have totally said that. It would have been awesome. I was really looking forward to it.
I was ready to say, I'm good. You know, we can do it.
Well, let me tell you why I think some instancing is good for a game like this, because back in the day, back when I was playing during Kunark and EverQuest, I was with a pug raid, and we were going to do Plane of Hate, and we got all organized and everything, and we got up there, and then another guild just killed everything and stole everything. Like an hour before we got there.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's the story that people usually bring up, right? When it's about some sort of instancing of important mobs, or, they even talked about a first to engage or most damage done, which I was kind of surprised about. But it's all about kind of letting people experience the content. Now, I feel like what they presented was a pretty limited version of that. In fact, he painted an example where the two mobs to get into the boss room were still free reign. So technically those were, very contested. Do you think that's not enough to solve the problem you're talking about?
I think that's definitely a step in the right direction. I think a lot of people will think it's either, everything's an instance, or you don't have instances and there's nothing in between. But I think that will help alleviate a lot of it. obviously you'll probably still have problems with like guilds fighting over the things, or like, you know, just some people just training out of spite, like, oh, we're not going to let you get in there.
Yeah. I mean, is that always a bad thing though?
It's not a bad thing. It's a step in the right direction.
Yeah,
I do want to point out that Joppa was very clear that that's one thing. So the example given was one way. Doesn't mean that that's going to be how every instance is going to play out. So but I thought one of the cool things about that way is, yes, those two are contested, right? So yeah, maybe you want the loot from each one of those, but there is a mutual reward for every player that has the ability to, at once those two are killed, because then you can all go kill Nashra. So there is in a weird way, it's almost like a public quest, I guess, in some ways, but not really. That's how I was viewing it, because if one group goes and kills the lieutenant, and then another group goes and kills the other lieutenant, and then you open up to Nashra, and then Nashra, I believe they were saying that multiple groups could go in and make an attempt, so to speak. Well, then that's actually beneficial to everyone that the contested mobs were killed. So,
but it's beneficial to a point until people figure out the best way to kill them, and then just go in and wham bam, I just stole your kill from you because you guys took care of this, and I don't want to deal with it, so I just went and did it.
Or how about this? You'll probably have one or two miscreants who will just train the two spots where the lieutenants are, just to make sure that no one can kill them, just to make sure that the door is closed, because trolls are going to troll.
Trolls are going to troll. But I mean, there's only so much free time that a person can have, and they've been pretty clear. I mean, Kilson has taken the position of conduct and security manager. It seems like while that stuff is still open to happen, VR might at least be putting some things in the works to prevent that just 24/7. If your only goal is to just ruin everyone else's experience. I guess this is kind of another conversation here, but it seems like their approach is more to handle it as a personal basis, rather than we're going to systematically just stop this interaction.
Well, I agree with you, and I think systematically. So I wasn't saying that was my devil's advocate thing, but because fine. I think at some point, teams, guilds might get there, but the thing that they are doing systematically is dispositions and the change in tactics that a boss might have based on certain things. So you don't necessarily need to scale like in an instance to make it harder just because your group is higher. Mm-hmm. You can't. I think that there's going to be a lot of mileage because of how different a boss may interact with you based on the kinds of things that you may do. So or that it perceives that you do just naturally because of the disposition system. So,
right. And I'm not going to say that, that's going to be happening constantly. And I will say that VR is refreshingly thinking ahead. I've seen countless times where server launches happen and they just go, well, hope it doesn't crash.
I mean,
I've never seen that happen with a game. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's never happened.
Never. No one would just launch a game like that. But to the point of the kind of public quest side of thing, because I did not interpret it that way, Red. So that kind of surprised me. I was actually a little off track when he was talking about this. So I'd be kind of curious if what you're describing is what Joppa meant, where technically the instance is unlocked for everyone if the scenario unfolds, even if you're not the person to get there. Like, because in that scenario, just imagine like you could just stand outside of Nashra's door and wait for other people to kill the two lieutenants, potentially, right? I'm not saying this is a bad thing, or I am not sure that that's exactly what Joppa was talking about.
I mean, that's what I got from it. It didn't sound like a keying type thing where you have to go get an item from this one and an item from this one, and then you personally unlock it. But it does sound like that could be something that they use in something else. Because I think that's what I want to hone in on. It was very clear that this was one way that they were handling, not
how they're
going to handle it with every instance. Right. And so that could, and there definitely seems to be a focus on making things more accessible lower levels, which makes sense. Have lower barriers to entry early on to things.
And you said that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. But the way that let's see in chat what they're saying.
Unlock for everyone in circumstances.
But my understanding of the way that the example was set forth is an unlock for everyone. That's how I heard it anyway. And I mean, I could be completely wrong, but that's how I heard it, as like, so that way it is and I think even Minus mentioned that it was kind of a cool social thing that way, which is what made me think public quest. And it's not necessarily that you're working together knowingly, but if someone goes and kills one lieutenant, maybe another group sees that, and then they go kill the other lieutenant because everyone wants to go try Nashra, and if that works out, then it is a way for the server to kind of work together without being a full-on thing. And I think that if that's how that specific event would play out, I think that's awesome. I think that's a really cool way for things to work out, because those groups are getting the loot from the lieutenants, but then it opens up opportunities for the whole server.
I would agree with a lot of that. The way I interpreted it was more of you would kill those two lieutenants, and then it would open up an instance door, and then groups could go in there and fight the boss in there. Right.
And like each person could potentially go in on their own, right? Or each group, I mean. Is that kind of what you mean?
Each group.
Okay. That's kind of how I interpret it as well. But getting all the way back to kind of the initial, like, do you think they should go further with this? Like, would you prefer if they instanced the keying mobs as well, so to speak?
I don't really have a lot of answers. I know ultimately it's just going to take a lot of testing until they hit that right note.
Yeah. That's always going to be the case, right? And that was kind of recurring theme in this was there's a lot that could change with testing. From first to engage and most damage done to guild size. They're open to adjusting to what works. So, yeah.
Yeah, they need people with personality. They need new personalities to come in.
New personalities. That was the very fine way to put a certain point, right?
Yeah, we need more people. We need more personalities to come and really test the limits of niceness on the game. So,
well, speaking of more personalities, maybe we should get someone else in here. But before I kick you out, Mr. C, is there anything else you wanted to bring up real quick?
I wanted to bring up one quick thing, and then I'll get off.
Yeah.
I saw this in chat. I don't know if they answered it, but they asked in the map they have those areas that they're expecting to use for the future expansions. Someone asked in chat during that stream if you go there, will there be invisible walls to those little areas, or will you even be able to get there?
Right.
In the base game.
I see. I'm assuming there's invisible walls because there kind of has to be, unless they do the Valheim approach where they build generic, terrain. But I kind of feel like there's going to eventually be an invisible wall. Personally,
no, it's going to be gnomes that are like we have this thing we're trying to break through here. We'll come back in a few months. We'll
haven't seen that done before.
By then.
It won't be an invisible wall. It'll be a very visible wall.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a visible wall. That's all.
And I think at times they have talked about it before in other streams and things like that they're they're working to have as few as possible.
Of course.
I mean, I think that's essentially it, right? So they're working on not having invisible walls where possible. And I mean, a lot of when the stream started today, it was all talking about exploration and how a lot of games will use things like, mountains to prevent you from traversing the world as a different kind of barrier, which is actually a question I had for them, I think, the last time they were going to do a stream. And it sounds like that's not the case, or at least not what they're aiming for. That they're aiming for it to actually be an open world where you can go anywhere. And to do that, I mean, I think that kind of increases in some ways the need for invisible walls, so that you don't have players going off the map. But I still think that they're going to be working hard not to have invisible walls or visible walls where possible.
Yeah, Balance actually just kind of pointed out something that I think they've actually mentioned before, kind of sparked something in my head, was that they could potentially do like something that we wouldn't be able to acclimate to, to prevent us from going any further, which is a nice kind of in-universe way of maybe doing it. So they might employ that. I think that's a great idea. And I feel like they've talked about that before, but I'm not sure. But anyway. Was that it, Mr. C?
Yeah, that'll do it.
Awesome. Thanks for
joining,
being
man.
consistently on.
Thank you, Mr.
Yet
C.
again.
Consistently C over here.
Consistently.
D for consistency.
Awesome.
All right, later.
See you, bud. All right. Yeah, awesome. Let's see. We've got Essen. Essen was in pretty soon after, so let's grab him. Are you ready, Essen? We're gonna do it, man. Let's. Boom. Hey, Essen.
Hey, Essen.
I was born ready.
Whoa, Essen's super quiet.
How
Hey,
am I?
that is
now?
as loud as I can get you. So
How about now?
this is as good as it's gonna get. So, what was your hot topic for this stream?
My hot topic is different. I was thinking about something else. I was thinking about world building, and
Okay.
what troubles me is, I don't know what troubles me. So, say there's other MMO that's just like this game called Cyberpunk 2077, right? Just like this game. And the best part of Cyberpunk is the world feels like you're in the world, right? The city is the main character. There's language and culture that you only experience in the game, and it feels like you're in the city, and it's very cool.
I'd agree. Yeah.
With Pantheon, I don't get that yet. I mean, it's early, obviously. I don't get that yet. And the greatest opportunity I see for that is the whole notion that different planes are pulled to this world.
Right.
But I don't see any physical signs of that, aside from there just being people here. Like, do continents smash into the planet?
I mean, that
like-
is the big mystery that we've kind of argued about for a long time, and JN's been a little tight-lipped on it. Is he has mentioned that the collisions, as they're called, weren't just people getting teleported here. So there is some physical side of it. But yeah, we haven't really seen that. And like fractures, which are supposed to be kind of a manifestation of that, we haven't really seen that in a way that makes the world feel like I think you're saying.
So
Yeah,
the world is flat.
That's what I
Can't be a sphere if there's crashing. Just kidding. Keep going.
Are we going full flat Earth? Because that would be amazing. That would be amazing. if there's
Terminus
MMO
is
where
not
yes, the
flat.
world is flat.
Terminus
That would be
is not
amazing,
flat.
though, wouldn't it?
Oh my
God,
gosh.
that'd actually be really cool. But
It's like a Dyson sphere. That's actually how it goes.
actually, the gnomes had a Dyson sphere, didn't they? And that's a whole.
Well,
that's a whole
kind
story.
of. Yeah, kind of. Anyway, that's a whole other whole other
But
thing.
like,
Yeah.
But I really think it's an opportunity to make the world kind of like unique in some kind of way. Because if you just look at the world, it looks like an MMO. There's nothing particularly different about it, and it's got to be different. It has to be different. I would like to see that. I don't know, but my other big takeaway is a cop out because I wasn't able to watch the stream. And so my question to you is,
Oh.
if someone was turning into the stream for the first time, if they knew nothing about Pantheon and they're logging in for the first time, what do you think the biggest takeaway for them would be from the stream?
Wait, are you talking about from the gameplay stream?
From today's.
Okay, that's okay. That's a lot better.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I said stream. Sorry, I should have said dev chat.
I think a good way for us to do this is each of us, all three of us, could answer that question.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That was you volunteering
to go first. Okay.
Yeah, I'll even put your face on the screen. There you go.
Okay, thank you for the honor. So I think the biggest takeaway for me would probably be that the exploration is the key to Pantheon. That a big part of the game is exploration, and that's all about how you traverse the world, and the ways that they're thinking about the world are in ways to highlight exploration with things like scavenging and stuff like that, all being ways to get you interested in seeing what the world has to offer, more than just going from quest hub to quest hub to quest hub. So I think that to me was the one token thing, and the fact that we got a bean about boats in there talks about exploration too. So just had to throw that in there.
Yeah.
Well, you stole mine a little bit about the stuff to find, and as far as open world goes, it was definitely saying, hey, this world exists, and I don't have to just run along a track where the only things I can get are the chests that are in my way, or the mobs or drop stuff. Actually, they actually exist in this world, and they left some stuff in their camp, and I can go and I can loot that camp somehow. I can go and find where people were, and I can find what they left behind, and interact with that in a real way. So, as far as open world goes, that's how I would say that's where they're pushing, is to say these people actually exist in this world, and they don't only exist in service to your playing in this world. And then also, if they were watching the chat at all, just don't get caught up in stupid arguments.
Oh, you got me. I take that reprimand.
No, you said like one thing. There was a million other things going on. I'm like, geez, guys,
I'll admit,
chill.
I get caught up.
Are you talking about the argument over Minus's hat? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah,
yes,
that's exactly. That's all we're talking about. Yeah, you got it.
That's warranted.
Yeah, I don't know. I really want to get a Joppa beanie. I think that would suit me. But anyway,
yeah.
To the question, I mean, you guys really took the the big things. To me, it's that the world doesn't necessarily, like, you're not the focus of the world. And I think a few different parts of the stream kind of point to that. And this is kind of riding off of yours a little bit, but your interactions with the world are kind of what make your story. And the kind of point is that you have this freedom to interact, and that progression isn't really, I don't want to say it's not making you skip things. Although we kind of clarified that sometimes skipping is okay, but the world itself is, I almost would say, more sandboxy in nature, but only in the sense of you get to choose what you do and what you like to do. And the more we go on, I kind of feel like every stream points to, Joppa talking about, like, we want to aim for like 2 hours. If you don't feel like doing dungeons, you could go scavenge, you could go craft, gather, just exist in the world, is kind of what I take out of this, that you can just exist in this world. So, yeah,
I had a vision of myself climbing to a some sort of secluded place and just hanging out there
Mm-hmm.
and having other people go there. I don't know, that would be maybe a good place to meet as a guild for guild meetings, or just thinking of ways you can interact within the, there's going to be some really neat looking places that you can get a vantage point from that you can't in any other game, just by the sheer fact that you can climb anywhere if you have enough stamina, or what, or whatever, if you have enough whatever. So
You have
yeah,
a guild meeting with 2 spots, a base camp and the summit, because most people can't make it.
right.
So there's like the secret guild spot, and then there's like the really secret guild spot.
Yeah.
Okay, now I just really, like, after hearing what Man of Rohan just said, I really want there to be proximity chat in Pantheon.
Oh my gosh.
Just for one reason. Because I want Man of Rohan to be on a cliff somewhere just singing. And then you have to go find Man of Rohan.
Where is that yodeling bastard coming from?
I will admit, some of my favorite memories of proximity chat games, like New World, were people, like talented people that had their audio set up and like did a performance in game. Like, that is really cool. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. Was there anything else, Essen, before we go and grab Glor?
Before we accidentally confirm proximity chat in Pantheon, is that
one? One is that proximity chat is both the best and the worst.
Oh yeah,
and completely. I have something else, but we'll save it for another time.
Related to this, or
I can't say.
All right, we'll just save that for next time then.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
See you, Essen.
Thanks, Essen.
Okay. Just like the open world, we can easily get distracted and on different topics. So we've got someone we don't get in here very often. If at all, I don't remember the last time we saw Glor on here, but I am happy to grab you here in a second. And surprise.
How's it going?
Well, great.
Hey, Glor, have you been on the show before? I couldn't remember.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been on a couple times.
Yep.
The first one was really fun because I got a lot of good Tolkien reference going on, and I didn't realize that my mic wasn't keying up, so I didn't get to play off any of them.
Oh, man.
Oh, no. That's the worst, especially for Man of Rohan.
Here, I'll start again. Let's go. Everyone just wait. We got a few Tolkien things to talk about.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
I'm sure that's not going to disappoint anybody to miss out on that.
Pantheon plus Tolkien is the new name of the show.
Yes. Okay. Again, it's too easy to get off track. Glor, what do you got for us? What was your... Out of the things we haven't talked about, how about this, to give you a bit of a challenge? What's your highlight? What do you want to bring here?
All right, so it's not something that what was on the video. It's something that I think should have been on the video and was left off, which is, imagine yourself, assuming you don't do it often, as a climber, somebody who goes out climbing cliffs, and you're going somewhere new. You've never been there, but you're not just going to climb a cliff. You're trying to get on the other side of this mountain. So you've got to not only climb up it, but you've got to climb back down it, presumably in a different place than you've climbed up. Mm-hmm. So when you're going up, you can step back, look at it, get a good idea of where your handholds are, how you can climb up and reach the top, and you can sort of plan out a route. Now, when you get to the top and you're on the other side, you don't get to step back anymore. You've got this straight down view of, okay, where can I get a handhold? And it's not so easy to judge. So when you start climbing around in Pantheon, you might want to just keep in mind, you got where, and it's not always easy as you think it might be.
Yep. Yeah. Going down. Yeah. Climbing down is always going to be a little more crazy if you've never been there before. That's a good point.
Just hold shift. Yeah, I got it.
Just
okay. But you do that and you've started to climb down. Congratulations. Then what?
Yeah.
How far is it? Did you judge the distance well? where you're going to run out of stamina.
You know, that does actually bring in something. I don't know if this is intended or not, but do you think that perhaps in the higher level zones, or the more difficult areas, one thing that they might employ to discourage just free roaming from the lobby is like you said, taller cliffs that are harder to scale, and things that you might get in trouble doing exactly the scenario you're talking about.
Oh, I'm sure there's going to be some of that, but I imagine more of it is going to be just you're going to get somewhere and you're going to find out, oh, there's something up here. It wants to kill me. And not only does it want to, it's very capable of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
This brought back a memory, just like one of those memories from one of the very first streams that I ever saw of Pantheon. I think one of the streams that made me interested in Pantheon, maybe even the first one. And I think it was a co-stream, and they were on a tower, and I think he was a monk, and they kept falling off the tower and dying at the bottom, so they kept having to reset. Does anyone else remember that?
Yeah, that was the Tower of the Reckless Magician.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep.
And they would get too close to the edge and fall off, and get too close to the edge and fall off.
I thought you were talking about the Amber Fate stream where they crawled up and there were people right there and they immediately died. They immediately wiped because they didn't realize there was a pathing like wolf or something coming by.
I had to watch that stream just a few days ago randomly to answer a completely different question, and it was such a treat. Yeah. Anyway.
See, this just makes me feel like I have a goal that I need to do, and that's create a guide for all the places where will you die here if you climb up on this area? Because I am certain to die a lot from falling.
We'll have to get like a flow chart, a Pantheon danger flow chart.
It's not a question of will you die if you try here. It's how many ways can you die if you do the slightest thing wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Glor, is there anything from this stream that you would say you got that was like new information?
I mean, the biggest thing is that we got what we needed, which was a clarification on the other stream with the instancing, because whether or not we got all the answers we needed, we got enough so that you can tell it's not simply going to be, okay, we're adding instances for bosses and raids. Therefore, every boss or raid is instanced, meaning that everybody can do it once a week anytime they want. It's not how they're putting it in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a good clarification. And I love that he directly addressed that too. It's like, you're not just going to rinse and repeat, your instances. And he used a lot of examples in this stream that I thought was really good. I think that's a great way to describe a system, is to put it through its paces and give an example. And he did that for the instancing one. And he did that for, what was the other? The progression of travel or traversal. He gave when you start, you get sprint, that gets you where you need to be because most things are nearby. And then as you venture out into the world, you start wanting longer range. So you get, a buff, and then early 20s, you start to get into taming. And I love that he kind of ran through that. Cause it gives me a really, I feel a pretty good picture of, how they're designing this whole horizontal-ish progression on the side of adventuring.
And I also really like the concept of thinking that the Darkmer have built tunnels underwater to possibly many different places.
Well, he said safe.
I'm just wanting to take it one step further and not have tunnels to places. I want a tunnel to and from each place where I can have a current flowing in the direction I'm going and basically turn it into underwater vacuum tubes to travel through.
Yeah, that's what I thought of. Was like vacuum tubes. That might be cool.
Jetson. But
I thought of
Dark
Finding
version.
Nemo, but you know.
Mhm.
And he said safe, and I noticed I interrupted you. Sorry.
No.
But so yeah, and he said safe underwater. So I don't know how safe, but if as soon as he said that, I imagined actually built conduits that were all over the place in some.
Yeah, he said
Yeah.
tunneled too,
Yeah.
not caverns explored
Right.
or found. So I'm thinking, at least for Darkmer that are able to breathe, it is safe. For somebody
Doggone it.
else, you've got to be careful and not
Good point.
not run out of whatever your method of water breathing was.
And now everyone wants to be a Darkmer even more. They already beat my dwarf cleric.
I
in the
already
March
wanted to. Like this is my hipster moment. Okay, like I was a Darkmer before they were cool.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And you're a necro before they exist too.
Before they
All
exist.
right.
Yeah, that's really deep cuts right there. Okay.
Sorry, man.
Darkmer Bard Keeper. That's the ultimate build. You can go everywhere and learn everything.
Ideally, yeah. Ideally. What do you think about the whole starting thing? Players, starting in
instancings at the launch.
Oh no, I was going to talk about the like the whole idea of getting from one place to another when you're low level to like meet with friends. Joppa kind of gave a really vague thing there. Was like, there'll be a way to do it, just some danger
Carefully.
maybe, or carefully, like
I mean it's going to be classic EverQuest where you've got this long way to go. First of all, do you know how to get there? Are you given even basic instructions from somebody? Probably, but that doesn't mean when you're actually running you manage to follow those well. And then you have things are going to try and kill you on the way. Maybe you can get some buffs to try and help avoid them. Maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's a way you can get a faster travel system from one main city to another, but you still have other ways to go on either end.
Yeah, you still have to run the rest.
There's lots of ways to make it possible, but I don't think anything is going to be, totally new and how did Pantheon pull this off?
Right. It was interesting that was brought up, though, for sure. I think it's something on a lot of people's radar lately. Anything else, Glor? Before I pass you on and grab,
Nope.
It looks like we get Archbishop.
Grab somebody else.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for popping on, bud.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks a lot. Have a good night, guys.
Night.
You too.
You too.
All right. Here's someone we don't get a lot, too. Archbishop, I will grab you here as soon as you're you're already unmuted. Boom. Hey, Archbishop.
Hey, Archbishop.
What's going on, guys?
Evening.
Hey, thanks for popping in the green room.
Thank you so much.
I was honestly expecting the whole open world to be broad enough that like everyone would bring, random, anything related to the world. I feel like we've gone off track a little bit, but we're doing pretty good here.
Oh, I can handle that. Let's go.
Anyway, Archbishop.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I was cooking dinner for most of that stream. So wasn't paying much attention except for trying to stoke the fire on some of that fun that was going on. But I will say the server launch instance, sharding, whatever you want to call it, I am 100% behind that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I have been a part of dozens of MMO launches, just like a lot of us have in the last couple decades.
Mm-hmm.
And that has seemed to be the best way to handle it. And I'm so glad to hear them talking about that so early.
Yeah.
Yep.
Couldn't agree more, Archbishop. Couldn't agree more.
It does make me think, how many of you guys did the Embers Adrift at launch?
No, still waiting for magic.
Oh. Oh man, I thought a few of you guys did, but so they actually kind of did this. I didn't even think about it until now, but there are multiple instances of the zones, and I was thinking about it during the stream, and I was like, man, what if they had just opened new servers, at launch instead? It would have been that same scenario that Joppa's talking about, right? Where now there's like terrible populations on several servers just because there was a lot of load that first few weeks. It's just a great example of exactly the problem they're trying to solve. And I know a lot of people are very like anti-instance, but I think everyone knows about this problem, right? And I've never seen someone present a better solution, to be honest.
Well, there's no greater like examples than I think EverQuest with their progression servers and New World. I think you saw EverQuest adapt. EverQuest had several attempts where they just opened up new servers. Like you had Ragefire and Lockjaw, and you had you kept creating new servers, and it didn't work. You would always have one server that would be the server, and then you had an overflow server, but then you doubled down with that with New World. You had a very small cap for servers to begin with. You gradually started raising that cap, and then you created all these extra servers to handle the load of almost 1 million players, and then you lost almost you lost 90% of those players within the first 2 months, and so you had all these dead servers. Yeah. And I think that's exactly what they're talking about. Well, EverQuest evolved to add pick zones, and so you don't necessarily need to have 3 servers or 4 servers at launch. You have pick zones, which handles that early load, especially when you have everyone in the same place. And as players disperse, as the levels change, as people go into different zones, then you don't necessarily need the pick zones anymore. Right. And I think that's a great way to go about it. And I think that's them looking at that and watching what's working and what's not working is, I think, every MMO should be doing that. And you would think that it's like common sense, but New World's launch wasn't that long ago. Like that was very recent.
We're still launching like this.
Data. Yeah. You had so much data showing that this doesn't work and this does. And honestly, even there's a bunch of other games that they're still not really talking about or not sure what they're going to do. So hearing that Pantheon is certain.
Yeah, they already have a plan, right?
That's fantastic to me.
Well, EQ2 did it. When I first got into the Isle of Refuge, I remember it was Isle of Refuge 18, and I was wondering what that number was.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they figured it out eventually. I know it's a very zone-based game, but yeah. Do you think
I got one other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Rare spawns. So we all love our rare spawns, our static rare spawns. But Des, you probably remember as an example, there was a rare spawn in Upper Blackrock Spire that dropped a Briarwood Reed. There was a trinket for casters. And what happened, because there was an instance dungeon, is you would just get groups going in there, checking to see if it was up. No, it wasn't. Zone out, reset. And they do that over and over.
Yeah.
So what I'm really looking for, they're talking about instance, maybe partial instance dungeons, instance boss rooms. Totally cool with that. But what I want to see all of our rare, random named mobs to still be in that open world part of the dungeon.
And that sounds like what they're doing, which that was kind of that made it work for me, right? Is like we're reserving this for only like the premier bosses. So, yeah.
Yeah, he definitely said, they don't want to rinse and repeat. That's not the aim at all.
It kind of makes me think of this is another random example, but Ruins of Arsoon and EQ2, with that final instance. It's just like the one fight, in that final little instance. And I don't that one doesn't really play into the whole you have to key in to it as much. But that's kind of what first popped into my head, just so that they can do a more interesting, final fight. And tying that to Pantheon, if we look at a more recent stream with the, oh my gosh, in Hallnir Cave, I want to say the Something of Truth. Oh no. Oh no. The big boss fight in the kind of stone ring. Oh, someone help me out here.
I have no idea.
Oh
was
my
that the one
gosh.
with the enchanter mechanics where Tehom was really showing those off? Was that one?
It was that one where he
Thief
shot
of
out the
Eternity.
beams.
Thank you, Theric. Thank you. The Thief of Eternity. But I think of like that fight being kind of very involved in everything. That seems kind of like the kind of thing that they want to really lean into, to have these really complex and interesting fights. Because I love like fights with a ton of mechanics and stuff. Like I really want my group boss fights to be like mini raids. Like that's how I really look forward to it. And it seems like in order to unlock that amount of control, that an instance is kind of the best way, so that they can. I think what was it, Joppa that said like a group mob, we can tailor it to be like exactly 6 person, where, doing that in an open world is a little bit harder for sure.
I think Joppa a long time ago in a stream said, when they first talked about dungeon boss instancing, that a lot of what was driving that was just exactly what you're saying, is they would have more bandwidth to create interesting boss encounters, right? That they couldn't do in an open world setting.
Yeah, and I think that's a small sacrifice to make, a tiny bit of instancing just to have those really epic things, as long as the whole rest of the picture is open world. That's good.
One of the things that I'm surprised hasn't come up yet about like instancing of boss fights is how that prevents trolls. How that prevents people coming in and training you during the boss fight to steal the boss fight and things like that. You've got the thing almost dead and they come in and train you. Like anyone who's played EverQuest has probably experienced that at some point.
Oh yeah.
And so, I think that's one thing. I know there's a lot of people that are just very much anti-instancing in general, but there are a lot of benefits for certain things to be instanced. I mean, this may be an unpopular opinion, but when not everyone should be allowed to fight Nagafen, that was one of the most annoying things I've ever heard, because it's not about the ability, it's about the time. And I think that was something that was very key in what was said in this stream, is that it's about a lot of this is about the difficulty. Yeah, you get a chance at it. That doesn't mean you're going to win. It's just trying to make it so that the skill level is important, and perhaps more so than can you sit and wait. I think Joppa used the term roosting on the spawn kind of thing. Yeah. I think that's important, because like for me personally, I have no time. I have no time for anything, and I would love to actually be able to see content and do things, and I think it's an important way to still make it seem like an achievement by making it difficult, making it unique and interesting, and then having other ways to go about it, but not giving it only to the people that have the amount of time to sit there and wait.
Yeah, I mean that kind of comes down to you go through the trial of it all in the open world, so that in the instance you're only contending with the fight. You've already kind of put your time in, you've wrestled in the open world, so at least in the finale can't be taken from you. And that's kind of how I see it.
It's so hard for me to agree with everything that you just said, Red, because I do, but that's 2023 me. I look back on 22 years ago me, who was playing EverQuest on a PvP server, who would just go gank people in the middle of a boss fight because our group wanted to steal their boss. And I love those memories, but I know I couldn't do that now. But at the same time, I don't want to take that away from somebody who could do that now.
Yeah,
and
well,
make
no,
those same
like,
memories.
Oh,
I may or may not have been part of a train on Gornair so that we could get the kill, but that's past me. You know, I've evolved since then.
That's a good point. You know, we've all kind of changed in certain ways. You know, I know a lot of people will point to time that we have now as being a factor, but and I know that's kind of a contentious thing anyway. It's like, you know, Joppa says they're aiming for like 2 hours or so. Obviously, I think if you think like you only need to spend 2 hours in the game, like you're like not going to get anything past 2 hours. Like, of course, you're still going to be able to play and do a lot, but that's like one factor of how we've changed. But also like how we play games has changed too. Like, I was also a part of some trolling that I'm not super proud of. That I wouldn't do again.
You play Mortal Online 2, of course you are.
Well, that's built into the game. It's a whole other. Don't even get me started, Red. How dare you? How dare you? There's so much more to that. But Minus did say something here I wanted to grab. But he said they want to lock content by challenge and not by access rights. And access rights is a funny thing to say. But I think the way they're going about it, so that it's not about you're just given something. You still have to work for it, right? You still have to work for your paycheck, but this is just making it so that like someone can't like at the last moment stop by your mailbox and just yank your check. And as fun as that might have been for a younger me, I recognize, you know, for us all to play in an open world now, and to have good exchanges, as well as like kind of, you know, because I still believe that some negative interaction is, well, unavoidable, but also can be good. Like a little bit of drama in your MMO is like actually like, do you guys think a little bit of drama is good for your MMO? Well, ties you to it a little bit?
That's the social friction, and that's been talked about a lot, right? But it's also not one or the other from even just this stream. Like, Joppa did mention that there will be open world bosses, contested open world bosses. So there will be, like, it will exist in the game. It's not like it's all going to be instance or only instance for bosses.
Yeah.
Like, the stuff will be there. So I think it's sounding like, and obviously I don't, I'm not in the inner circle here, but it's sounding like there's gonna be options, right? So I think that's what's a good thing, you know. In my opinion.
So Gulo's,
I'm on the other side of that. I was never a troll for fun or try and get people guy.
Sure.
Yeah. So I wasn't. I was always wanting to just have fun, and what I worked for, I don't want taken away from me by some person with a personality.
But what if
quote personality?
What if the guild that had troubled you in your low levels, they were just always at your camps, or they always just forced themselves to take over whatever, you know, thing you were trying to XP at, you know, they seemed so mean. And then you see them, they're trying to pull this mob that's going to unlock their boss, you know, and
I'm not a pacifist. No way. Yeah, if they're coming in and griefing me, if I had an opportunity, sure.
Okay.
But you know, just going along, and if you know, and just I want that thing, so I'm gonna take them. I'm gonna take what they want just because I can. I'm not. Shame on you guys for doing that in your earlier life. Shame.
Bears.
Well, okay, so to kind of end this out, because we're going a bit long. The PTV was fairly long in the first place, so I don't want to keep everyone super long. But Glor gets into something that I think we got to talk about before we go, and that's he kind of lumped raids into this. So do you guys think he meant raid bosses will be instanced, or are we talking like the raid is instanced?
Hey, Des, real quick, I got to sign off.
Oh, no problem.
love you guys. Appreciate everyone in the community. You guys are great. Always look forward to seeing everything you have coming towards us. And I will catch you next time.
All right. Thanks,
so
bud.
much.
See you, Archbishop.
Have a good night, man.
Have a good night. Hey, we didn't hear what you made for dinner.
Oh. Tell us what you made for dinner, Archbishop.
I was very interested in what was made for dinner.
Just have to imagine. But yeah, like, what do you guys think about like raids? How far should they take it for raids?
See, so for me, like, I'm probably going to be at odds with a lot of people in the community, but like EverQuest brought in Agents of Change. I loved it. You know, like, because again, it's not trying to, because it's almost like an artificial gating, right? When it's time. So,
Yeah.
and obviously EverQuest had it really bad with, you had 7 days with plus or minus 12 hours, like just absurd things where you sat there and waited. I think the longest I sat and waited was something like 16 hours for a spawn. And it was a contested spawn and we lost it. So waiting 16 hours for a spawn, and it was just some dragon, and I was the dragon in Emerald Jungle or whatever. And like, you know, none of that was fun. Like, it just wasn't. It was mostly annoying. There was this idea of raids having the prestige or whatever based off of scarcity. I think is at odds with raids having prestige because they're difficult. Making them difficult, I think, is more important than making them scarce. But that's just my opinion. Obviously.
Dude, I love what you just said there. But Man of Rohan, what do you think?
If EQ2 was my main game, I did start in EQ, just so all you who are older I still have some street cred with you, but EQ2 was my favorite. And the prismatic weapon one, it was quest based, you know. So it ended on a raid where you went back to the Isle of Refuge and you killed that dragon that they had in all the promos that was in Kazakh for some reason.
Venikoria.
Yeah. So you ended up killing or trying to, but it was everyone who went there. They had to have completed a whole bunch of things ahead of time. And so the gate there was adventure, and the gate there was I have gone and I have found these things in all over the world in order to get, I found markers in all these places, and I was able to. Granted, this is an epic quest. This is a huge thing, so it makes sense. But if that kind of raid is as a whole is being locked behind an instance, I want the gate to not be just time. Like I can just wait my 16 hours and go back in and kill him. That's no fun, because that has nothing to do with me. Really in those kinds of raids, I kind of want it to be one time sometimes. In some of them, not all of them, but where I only got to do it once because it was quest based. But if I could rerun them, I want there to be some sort of thing that isn't just, I've done my dailies and I did my weeklies and now I can go back again next week. Because that's just what it makes raids. Then it just makes it a weekly.
Yeah.
That's
honestly, that's one thing that did become how we're like I raided on Finagil for 4 years, and it did eventually become because our guild was strong enough that it was just go collect loot and you're done, and that was the one downside to it. But I would take that downside over the downside of getting a phone call at 3 a.m. because the thing spawned, and then getting kicked out of the guild or getting yelled at because I didn't wake up at 3 a.m. to go get the spawn. And that's the kind of thing that, like, having those time-based contested spawns. Like, I don't have necessarily an issue with like contested spawns as much as these spawn windows and things like that are just kind of awkward at times. And I grew up on games like Ultima Online, EverQuest 2, all those things. I've been there, I've done that, and perhaps it is partially because I have been there and done that. But when I first played EverQuest as a kid, I didn't raid because I didn't have the time. I was in school and stuff.
Yeah.
I
You could
rated when
just
I was
leave
in
school,
college, and my GPA showed it.
Right.
But that's how it worked out for me, and it's just I liked being able to see more of the game and see more of the challenge of the game instead of sitting and not being able to do something or just waiting. Like it's just
so you're
even like
your accomplishments would be based on what you're able to do, not how much time you have to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, yeah.
And then I think it leads to a better, even just like from a guild perspective, it leads to a more cohesive experience because it's no longer the people that have the most, open time. It's just the people that know how to do whatever the mechanics are.
Yeah.
It's more about that instead of just, okay, well, who's available for the next 10 hours? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, and there's a lot of opportunity there with like keying. I do wonder if it is just like the raid bosses that are instanced, the whole process for maybe keying for a raid might be a little weird. Having, a full raid worth of people running around a dungeon or something trying to get, whatever is needed to open that door might get a little funky, but it's definitely something I want to see more of. I want to see what they decide to do. We've seen Isle of Infinite Storm, which I could see that being either way, right? Like that could have been an instance, but it also could have been open world, maybe up until like the final boss. It's just something that now that we've heard a little bit more, we need even more info, right? But yeah, anyway.
I wanted to just real quick, because I wanted to talk about a comment for Gulo Gulo. So Gulo Gulo said that you can have both, just like you can have rare spawns and rare loot at the same time. And when you have both, they are more valuable with more prestige. So what I would suggest is, what about if it's, because we talk a lot about instancing as like this, like, weekly thing, because that's our experience. That's the experience with EverQuest, with World of Warcraft, whatever. But what if you still have the same thing, but it's a longer time frame? What if you get one chance? Like, what if there's a seasonal boss that you get one chance at per 4 months? Then it's still rare, but and maybe you have one attempt at it. Wouldn't that also be something with a lot of prestige? So I don't think there's interesting ways to go about it, other than just adding essentially a plus or minus type thing, or adding open world contesting. And I think that's kind of what I'm seeing. What Pantheon is going for is skill checks more than that. But who knows what they're going to look at as far as raids in the future. I don't think we have a ton of information on that. Most of what I've seen from Pantheon is all about group anyway. So that's kind of where my thought process is that there's other ways than the ways that it was done in EverQuest, my favorite game of all time, but other ways than it was done in EverQuest in the old days.
Yeah, and as Shy Guy in the chat says, promotes preparation too, because that also makes me think of, I mean, we have de-leveling. I mean, if you die enough times at level 50, like you could de-level, and I'd have to think through the whole like really long lockouts more, right? But I think off the cuff, I agree with that, because there's even a limit of the amount of times you can try it in the instance, right? Because eventually your raid force is going to diminish with all their preparations with consumables. They might even start to de-level. So if you have to leave that instance, and come back, a month later, it would put a lot of prestige for people that can do that. But like, I'd have to think about it more. But it's a very interesting idea, Red.
Yeah, there was even a talk about with Nashra that it is kind of timed, right? Is kind of how it was put out there. Like, you kill the things, and then for a set time period, you can go access Nashra. So who knows how long that time period is, or if you get more than one attempt or not. Maybe you only get one attempt. I don't really know, or how long the lockout is if you're successful or unsuccessful. I think there's a whole lot of variables that I don't think we really got from this. that maybe they just need to do a whole one on instance.
Yeah, dude, they might have to. PTV, eventually just instancing, man. Let's dig deep into it. But I don't know if we're there yet in development, where that's all like ironed out. A lot of stuff to change, as we pointed out a bunch of times. But anyway, before we go, I obviously have to get a Sarah in. She's been helping with the green room this whole time. And we I know it's already probably super late, so let's get her in before we wrap up. Okay. Sorry to leave you there so long.
Hey, Sarah.
I wasn't going to be too upset if I didn't even make it on, because to be honest, this topic is a little bit technical for me, and I'm not super passionate about it one way or the other. Yeah, I'm the caboose tonight, Gulo. I am. Let's just leave it at that. Anyway, not super passionate one way or the other, but I mean, because I see the appeal of. I mean, I like the open world. That I'm good for open world, but instancing seems to be where this has really gone.
Well, it kind of ends up doing that when we have hot topics like this. But like, was there anything outside of this that maybe you want to bring up?
Anything outside of instancing?
I mean, they did talk about other stuff.
They did. Well, I'm really excited to pick up all the things off the ground. I'm very addicted to that in any game. So. And I think that's a really fun way to fill time, and a really just like extra fun thing to do that makes the world feel a little bit more polished and fleshed out and complete. And I'm going to have Theric pick all the flowers with me.
As long as it's not tomatoes in a 1,000-year-old dungeon in a barrel. Like fresh tomatoes that I can make things out of. Yeah, I don't want that.
What?
I'm good, thanks.
Why not?
But the thing that I'm most excited about, actually, this is the topic was open world, but it just leads into so many things like instancing and then also traveling. Like, I'm actually more interested in the traveling aspect of it, because I agree that flying mounts break the game, and I'm glad that they have a hard stance on never having that. I really like the idea of, like Joppa was saying, like as you kind of progress through the game, progress through your levels, progress through your experience, that's when you start to progress through traveling also. Which is something that I thought some games have done well. Like, you start off and the only thing you can do is like kind of run around the starting area, and then you just naturally like find this new thing that you can use to travel, or you naturally get a new ability that helps you travel a little faster. And I think that kind of natural progression is the best way to do it. It feels the best. It doesn't break the game. But it's also kind of a, how do I say this? It's a little bit of a tricky subject for me, because Essen and I are going to be two different races and two different starting zones. I'm going to be an Ember Elf, and he's going to be a human enchanter. So we're going to have that like challenge of like making it to each other so that we can play together in the beginning of the game.
Well, okay.
There were only 3 pairings of human and elf in all of the history of Middle Earth. So if you're the 4th, then
that's why every single like fanfic has one, right?
Yeah. Because we just want another one. We want another amazing story. So
I mean, yeah, it's gonna be a story for the ages for sure. I'm gonna need help. Like, we're gonna need help getting to each other. We're not gonna be able to just do it on our own. And how long is it gonna take? Like, we joked around before when we first talked about this ages ago about doing like one of those no sleep till no sleep till events, and it's gonna be like no sleep till, what was it, marital something? Anyway. I'm too old to do that, but yeah, that's one of those like fun things that we just have to kind of like a challenge that we have to traverse because of the choices that we're going to make. Like, neither of us are willing to yield on the race that we want to play. So yeah,
but you're like open to doing the journey, right? And obviously you're part of a community that has people that will try to help with that, which kind of makes its own story. You guys actually, being able to make that and meet up. I'm really all about that. I'm kind of like really stalwart in my like belief that there should be that like initial adventure and danger and everything. I'm pretty glad that Joppa's on that page to some degree as well.
Sam says she's going to rally the community to smuggle us. Are we going to ride barrels down the river? Is that going to be the fastest?
Barrels down the Darkmer chutes.
So now our lovely Scar Ranger Sparrow can be in Scargol, and Bounty can be a Darkmer and just swim right on over.
That's right.
Or you did not just go there.
I mean, I've heard that there's going to be
she's not here,
underwater
so
passage.
She's gone.
We could say anything.
I'm going to tell her what you said.
Yeah, you should. You should tell her. I'm sure she's probably like completely desensitized to it at this point.
No, she's definitely not. Nope. You're getting blocked.
Still very passionate about it. Okay.
This is just making me think of the naked gnome races. Like, so Pantheon Plus did one, and I remember Nathan Napalm rallied us all to try and
to flag at the end
in Payneal and kill everybody. And I remember that was one of the most exciting and fun things. Like, we were watching, like, we were stream sniping, I was
incognito in his stream, and then I was egging everyone else on in the other stream. It was
it was so funny when we got there. We had no idea what was going on. We were like, why are all these like erudite dudes here trying to kill us? It was hilarious.
Nope, should never be naked. That's fair.
Okay, well, it's late, and but thanks for having me on, guys. This was really fun, and it's always great hanging out with you guys.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, it has been a long show, especially because it was a long PTV in a great way. And I hope everyone had a great time. Do we want to get any kind of last thoughts in here? Promotions maybe for things that you guys might be working on, that kind of a thing.
I don't do anything.
Start with Red, who was literally like speed editing of something before this.
I gotta rat you out. I'll go.
When are you gonna start doing Pantheon stuff again, Red?
Look. Okay. when I'm able to stream it, okay? No.
Okay.
So I'm actually probably gonna do a video on this because I think the whole talk about instancing is a topic worth covering.
Yeah.
But, I think that's a good one to do. And plus, doing more Pantheon stuff. I'm here, Des. Excuse you.
I know.
I'm part of the co-host here. I know you keep graying me out, but I am here.
Hey, you. If your internet had allowed it, you would have grayed yourself out. But your internet has held up for our audience. His internet's been terrible, and we were actually expecting him to die in the middle of the stream, but it's held up. Thank goodness. So I'm glad. But I had a plan B ready. And that plan B won't get employed this time. But anyway, Man of Rohan, you just released a song.
I did it early. I'm like the Christmas, the day before Christmas kind of. I just want to give out the presents, and I don't care if tomorrow's Christmas because it's gonna be tomorrow anyway. So let's just open the presents today.
I love it.
Not that this is Christmas. I'm just really bad with holding on to surprises.
Christmas for your fans.
Yeah. So I did. I released a Halfling anthem today. So please go listen to it on my YouTube channel. So
YouTube Man of Rohan.
Yep. Man of Rohan is still, in my opinion, the most underrated content creator. I love Man of Rohan's content. I get to co-host with Man of Rohan, but I am a fan of Man of Rohan.
Thank you. I love it. Thank you.
I love that we get to do this while he's like in chat
comments and
embarrassing. Yeah. Yep. Do you have something else? Was this the thing that you were working on?
There's another one with.
There's another one. Okay.
That was with Ben and I. So Ben and I played the guitar on that one, the halfling one. So it's the bravery of Marthas. It's about Marthas and him deciding to fight. and against the Ferrith. So, but then and also my daughter did the artwork in the not all the avatars, but she did the artwork in the back. She did the inside of a halfling tavern, so I thought that was really good. Anyway, but the next thing is with Daimlos. We are working on just a little jingle. Just a little thing.
Just a little jingle.
And,
I mean, if it has Daimlos in it has no shenanigans, I'm sure.
Right. And actually, literally, there aren't any shenanigans in it from the community. So, but no, he's going to be singing on that one, and we're gonna. So I've already finished it. He just needs to sing his part, and we need to get it going. So yeah. Awesome. And then the next one is actually, and I know I gave him a lot of shade, I'm working on a Dark Myrrh song. So
nice. That's probably one I'm going to be looking forward to most, because the whole story, I don't know if it's about Serenai or I don't know what it's about, but the Dark Myrrh background is just ripe for making a song. So I look forward to that.
And I've got a specific kind of song in mind, a specific style. So
sweet.
Yep, that's next.
I'm looking forward to that. That's awesome.
All right, guys. Well, that should probably be the end of the Plus U2. Thank you, everyone that has come to hang out, to chat, to participate in the green room. We appreciate you guys so much. And catch us on Pantheon Plus YouTube or Twitch for more MMO content, Pantheon content when that exists, and reach out to all these various content creators that we try to promote all the time. Support their content as well. But that's going to be it. So goodbye, everybody.
Thank you all so much for being here.